members sitting on the head table, heads of states, respected dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. First of all, I value in the highest esteem the invitation given to us by UN and the Korean government to be a speaker at this forum and to share Fiji experience on e-government for sustainable development in small island development states. As I speak, I share the same table with our fellow island country members from Tuvalu, Samoa, Solomons, and Vanuatu, and East Timor was with us. I don't know where she's gone to, and the other members from these small island countries in the Pacific Island. And I'm indeed honored and privileged to be here to share those experiences with you. So far, we've had from speakers on the topic that they have been the drivers and the enablers of e-governance. Speakers from different countries have shared their experience of pre- and post-implementation of e-government projects and applications. We've also heard from subject matter experts and consultants, and this morning from a researcher on the topic as well. Sharing of knowledge and information by all the speakers has immensely enriched us all. One thing is evident, that one country's solution may not be copied and implemented in another country. I present my paper not as a consultant, not as a government minister or from ministry. We are a technology provider to the Fijian government. And the Fijian government has appointed Pacific Technologies Limited and my associate company in Singapore under public-private partnership to manage the government arm of IT, the information technology and computing services, to provide professional services, manage all e-government applications and to develop new ones in order to turn all public-facing desk services to online services. One of our key KPIs is to transform the IDC from cost center to revenue generating and eventually become a self-sustaining unit. So with these words, I just want to refer to because of the time limits, we've got so many things to talk about, but I will just breeze through the slides that we have so that I speak to you in terms of the challenges that we face, what are the opportunities that we see, what is the capacity building that we need, and the problems and challenges that we all face while we roll out these applications. In terms of, I think one of the speakers had mentioned that the eGov board itself is maybe not too user-friendly to citizens, so we've changed it to e-services and overall delivery of how do we see these services of delivering these services to our citizens. In the presentation, very briefly, is the vision, the solution, the plan, the support, and the progress we've made so far. What do we want to achieve? Fiji has a population of about 832,000 people. We have in urban areas, we have 424, and about rest is in the rural areas. The number of civil servants we have is about 32,000, and the number of government users in terms of being on the GovNet platform is only 6,723. That doesn't mean that the others don't have access to PCs, laptops, and computers or mobile smartphones. They do have, but we are expanding those networks to include more of the civil servants into that. Ours is a services-driven model, and we're looking at citizens. We have got the visitors and we've got business. Then we look at the citizens portal, we've got visitors portal, and then we've got business portal. And then when you look at the service providers, these are the government branches, the government service centers, and the third-party agents. And this is the branch service portal. And then how do they access the services out of that? Is through kiosks, mobile phones, internet, and you name it, and those are the channels that we're looking at. Of course, those are solutions. How we're looking at it is in terms of Fiji citizen service architecture. We're looking at birth certificates are already being issued, but we need to go a step further and have those requests and have it digitally certified. We've got the examinations and scholarship, which is also online scholarships are available. Students who apply, they will go for online and then apply for scholarship and the rest of it. We've got the merit certificate, which at the moment it's issued from the counters. We're looking at utility payments, which will come into be an important part because we want to go green as well in terms of issuing statements of bills to the citizens. We're looking at company registration, passport, tax, and death certificate, and you can add on to those on that horizontal. We can on this vertical platform, if we get the horizontal platform, if we get that right, which we have got, then we can always go vertical and add on the services to that. The Fiji visitors, as you know, tourism is the backbone of the economy, so we look at tourism as well and providing services to the tourists in terms of the immigration, visa, application has to be online, which we're working on, payment of fines in case tourist comes in and he overspeeds and the rest of it, often the fines are not paid. So those are things we're looking at, and a utility payment. Fiji also is now becoming the destination of a tourist destination for marriage, so you can apply on marriage online and then actually come and do the function in Fiji. We're looking at the Fiji business services architecture as well. In terms of investments, one of the important areas we're looking at is for foreign investors, if they come in, we can provide single window clearance. So at the moment when we look at single window clearance, we're looking at Investment Fiji as a regulator which investors have to apply for, and in that is Tier 1 agencies. You have to apply for the company registration. You'll have to get your TIN number from the tax department. You'll need to get your FNPF approval for your if you're employing employees, and then if you a foreign investor wants to have work visa, permit, and the rest of it. So at the moment it's going out to different these different branches. But what we've done is through single window clearance, you just put one application and the rest is approved. This would be rolled out in about August or September of this year. So that is one of the huge projects that we are unrolling in the pipeline. At the moment, as we speak, it's going under user acceptance test, and once that is done, then there'll be a soft launch, and then of course we'll go live on that. In terms of branch service architectures, this is basically more of in terms of the architecture platform that we're looking at and which we've started building on, and this would be the architecture that we have. What are our plans that we want to implement this solution is that this is an overall architecture from those who are from a system perspective, network, hardware, and the rest of it. At the moment, there isn't any e-payments that is available, so we'll also be introducing that. We're looking at Fiji Pay as the national payment scheme. What happens at the moment is anybody coming in and paying, we want to go paperless as well, and in terms of currency as well. So you have a preloaded card, it's a prepaid card, and all the services would be extended to you using the card. When we look at the implementation part of it, we're looking at in terms of infrastructure consolidation, application integration, payment gateway, centralized data warehouse, which is very important. Often we see that different ministries and departments are very protective and possessive of the data they have, rightly so, because they have their own act to follow. For example, the Ministry of Health would have the numbers of people who have got different sickness. We're not interested in the personal details, at least the overall details we need to know where we are. So those are the information that we are really looking at and trying to consolidate and make it one kind of a central data for everything in the government. When we look at implementation, there's citizen, there's visitors, there's business portal, and there's services portal. We're looking at national switch. At the moment, what happens is that we've got banks in Fiji, and each bank, there has to be a bilateral arrangement if you want to share their network in terms of ATMs and the rest of it. So we're looking at implementing a national switch, which is in the control of the government, because if there is a banking license issued, whoever the license is issued to should not be going and begging each of the other bank operators that I need to share the network. So we're going through a national switch, which would then integrate everything onto the national switch. That is in a way of reducing the high cost of transactions that we are paying in Fiji. We've got the national payment scheme that Chris spoke to you earlier about. We have the credit bureau, and most importantly, we have a centralized know your customer database, and that's very important in terms of making decisions, making projections, and looking at the way Fiji would be heading and planning for the future. Support, I would not talk too much of it because it's more to do with in terms of the support we require from government. It is more to do in terms of what we understand the processes of the government. It has to be overhauled. Other speakers spoke about DPR, exactly what we're doing, that's what we need to do. Here, looking at the experiences of other countries, I spoke to the donor agencies and also to the UN senior members here to see if they can help us, because we are not an expert in all those things, the legal framework and the rest of it. It is where I come in and share the experiences, and probably I'll make the least mistake if I get helped by the experiences and knowledge of the other people who have gone through the system. Anyway, I think my time has come up. We've got the state-of-the-art data center, which is the most critical aspect of any ICT business that you have. We are doing it's a tier 2 data center. Those who understand tier 2, it's a state-of-the-art data center. One of our tasks is to make sure that we do an ISO certification of the data center. Once we do that ISO certification, we're also doing the QMS certification as well. ISM is Information Security Management System, and QMS is Quality Management System. One of the disadvantages we have is, and probably in any island countries, is because of the scattered nature of the islands makes things very difficult to implement. We've got the best of the network coverage. We've got mobile coverage of 90% of the population. We've got 4G services which has been rolled out. We've got telecenters which is implemented by the government, which has now given access to about 87,500 people. In addition, the telecenters are housed in schools, where in the daytime it's used by the school kids, and in the evening the community in that area is given access to. This basically is what the holistic approach of us all is in terms of what we want to achieve. It's right on the top. If you look at it, it's a better Fiji for all. Whether you're a citizen, whether you're a businessman, or whether you're a tourist, or anybody accessing any system in Fiji should have that all. With these words, I've had a lot of other things. That one of the important challenges that we face is in terms of, we heard about cloud computing. What do we do in terms of cloud computing? The technology is moving that way. Government is kind of stuck in one area and saying that we have issues in terms of placing sovereign. The data is sovereign to a country. We must know where the data is. So those are frameworks that we need to have intense conversation with some of the providers of technology providers, and they cannot give me that assurance to meet the Fiji government's requirement to ensure that data is stored in Fiji and not in a cloud in some other country. So these are some of the challenges that we face. We also looking at in terms of the e-government policy framework, in terms of the legal framework that I talked about. If there's anybody who has got some experience and knowledge, has implemented that in that country, I'm willing to, you can share this information with me. I'm not a legal person. I need to go through the process of going through the government system of having those implemented and the rest of it. So I'd really like to have help on that. We've got Service Excellence Awards, which we use Baldrige criteria for performance excellence. That because of the service delivery excellence, we implemented that for whole of the ministries and government ministries and departments in Fiji. It becomes very challenging, and each ministry is competing against the other in terms of service excellence. We've got one laptop per child policy which has gone out. One of the most important things that we've also come in and done, we've spoken to the Ministry of Education, where we've implemented the computer studies and the rest of it. It was there, not that it wasn't there, but it was talking about those processors and PCs and laptops which were probably the first introduced when it was first introduced. So we've overcome that. We've also talked to the tertiary institutions and told them what our requirements are in terms of manpower, and you need to customize courses and the degrees which will meet our requirements. I've got many more things to talk about, but unfortunately time is against me. Thank you very much for listening.